So what's the worst thing about owning an apartment in a small condo or co-op building in New York City? We'll demystify this topic in the following video. I'm Nick at Houseit. Visit houseit.com to learn how to save money if you're buying, selling, or renting real estate in New York City, Long Island, the Hudson Valley, or South Florida. We'd love to help. So let's get started. So I will preface this video by saying that I love small condo buildings. Now, small has a wide definition. It could be a small building comprised of 2 apartments, 6 apartments, or 13 apartments. They're all considered to be small apartments. And I personally like small apartment buildings because it generally lends itself to scarcity. And scarcity is a great thing to have when you are owning property. It means that when you sell it, generally you'll have a better outcome, you'll have less competition, more demand, and potentially a higher return overall on your investment. But let's get back to the topic at hand, and that is, what is the worst thing about owning an apartment in a small condo or co-op building in New York City? And the answer is that it's just too intimate. If you have a condo building where all of the apartment owners, let's say there are 5 or 6 apartment owners, and they all want to be involved in every decision, it lends itself to a very uncomfortable environment where you can honestly sometimes feel like you're back in a clique in high school. You can get text messages or email chains out of nowhere, like on a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning. You can just get blown up with 50 text messages about really small, irrelevant issues that honestly are not really appropriate to be brought up on the weekend during someone's personal time. For example, you can get a text message from somebody who complains about the fact that somebody buzzed the apartment, all apartments in the building at 4 a.m. like on a Saturday night. So somebody will text and they'll say, hey, that wasn't my guest, was that your guest? And then every single apartment owner has to involve themselves in a roll call, basically, where everyone denies that they were responsible for that person. So, look, there might be nothing wrong with that. You might actually like that level of communication. But the problem with that intensity and intimacy is that sometimes it's just overbearing and overwhelming. Let's say you're on a flight and you don't have internet. You've been on a flight to Dubai for 12 hours and you check your phone and it's the weekend and you think, I'm not working, no one's bothering me, this is great. And then you just get 40 text messages that are slow to download because you're on a slow internet connection, and it's about basically everyone being required to deny that they were involved with a random stranger buzzing your apartment on that Saturday night. So it's just really weird and uncomfortable, and I personally don't like it very much. That being said, not every building is like this. It is also possible that you can have a small building where all of the owners just really are not involved at all. They don't want to have anything to do with each other, and they don't really care that much about getting involved in running the building. And that has its own suite of problems associated with it, which we'll talk about in another video. But just going back to this topic, to summarize, the main issue with a small condo or co-op building in New York City is that it's too intimate. You're going to be so closely involved with your neighbors, you're going to get texts, emails. Every single issue is going to have a largely circular, counterproductive dialogue. And the main challenge is that when it comes to serious things, like things you actually need to do, like make important repairs to the building or make upgrades and things like that, the fact that everyone is involved and needs to be involved means that oftentimes these buildings operate on the presumption that every decision needs to have 100% unanimous support. And on a practical level, that's just unrealistic. Let's say you have 6 people have all agreed that the sidewalk needs to be repaired outside the building immediately. But the 7th person says, hey guys, I have guests coming over, I have some financial commitments, I can't afford an assessment right now, can we wait 9 months? And because everyone is so involved at every decision, all of the other owners, instead of just being like, hey, look, we have an overwhelming majority, we have to fix this, it's a safety issue, everybody is afraid to, offend that 7th person. So everybody basically walks back that decision, and next thing you know, the decision itself is completely reopened. It never gets accomplished or even started. And then perhaps the topic changes completely, and now somebody starts complaining about the intercom system. So, it lends itself to literally being ungovernable. I mean, just imagine if, like in the United States, our politicians needed 100% unanimous approval for every single bill that they were looking to pass, the country would cease to function. And regrettably, this is what happens more often than not with these small condo buildings in New York City. But I would say this is an issue for buildings that have fewer than 10 apartments. Once you get up to, quite frankly, 8, 9, 10 plus units, 15 apartments, it starts to have more of an arm's length nature to the overall situation. So, it's going to be just too ridiculous to have a group text with 15 people, as you can imagine. So things start to become a lot more relaxed, a lot more formal. Management is more involved, and it just feels like we said, a lot more arm's length and a lot more comfortable from a lifestyle and stress management perspective. So we hope this was helpful. We're obviously not looking to turn you away from small condo or co-op buildings. In fact, the only apartments that I ever purchase myself are in small condo and co-op buildings in New York City. So it's really a tale of the benefits and the drawbacks, but the main benefit of these small buildings, of course, is the scarcity. You don't want to have to compete when you're selling with not only the active listings in your building, which is large, but also having to deal with the previous comp sale history for the same line apartments that may have sold over the past few months. When you have scarcity, when you have a small building, most likely is the case that a similar apartment hasn't sold in a while, so you have a lot more price setting power than you would otherwise. And in addition, oftentimes, if you're in a small building, it probably means that you may have bought in a neighborhood which is comprised mostly of smaller buildings or shorter buildings and such, which means that there's been less new construction and just less competition. You have a smaller amount of inventory to compete with, which may extend itself to generating higher returns over the long term. But in any case, thank you for watching this video. If you are looking to buy, sell, or rent in New York City, Long Island, the Hudson Valley, or South Florida, we can help you save money. You can learn how by visiting houseit.com. And if you'd like to speak with us directly, you can give us a call at 888-494-8258 or send an email to team@houseit.com. I'm Nick at Houseit, and we'll see you on the next video.